What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a very special edition of Free Tool Friday. My name is Tyler S. Clark, and we are here to talk about how to turn bookkeeping into a hands-off profit driver for your firm. I hope you enjoyed our new introduction on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, come hang out in the Profit Accountants Facebook group. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to this and comment down below, because we have something that you should be participating in the conversation of, and that is bookkeeping, how to scale it, how to do it very successfully, and how to get that off of your plate so you can elevate into a higher role and responsibility inside of your firm. And my question to you is this, and that I'd like you to just comment down below with. Have you struggled to remove yourself from the bookkeeping aspect of your firm? Have you struggled to hire, train, manage, and retain talent in this crucially important part of your firm? I believe the answer is a resounding yes, because we talk a lot with people just like you, and it's a major, major problem. And so before I introduce the gentleman that is next to me, I want to preface this by saying the first time his email came across my radar, I almost immediately deleted it. I almost just said, I should delete this. I almost felt like I was getting ready to talk to Darth Vader. I was like, no. This is not the right way to go about this. And then I said, wait a minute, Tyler. We have to be willing to open up our minds to all new possibilities, because the solutions to this problem, I'm just not very satisfied with them. And I believe that this company has been able to solve this problem in a very meaningful way. And I'm very excited to introduce to you Oscar Wimhurst from bench.co. Oscar, it is a pleasure to have you with us. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, Tyler. Thanks for that. It was fun having a look at your intro video, man. It's super slick, and it was cool for me having, we did a top secret version of this a couple of weeks ago, and seeing a few of the faces of people I've spoken to since then on there it was nice stuff. So it's a good way to start the morning.
Yeah, well, our video editor, shout out to Jodeline. She did a fantastic job of chopping up a lot of the material we've generated over the last couple of months or years here. And so let's go ahead and really jump into this, because I think when I say the name Bench, a lot of things come to mind, and they say, Tyler, you're bringing on a direct competitor. You're bringing on someone that is actively commoditizing the market. Why should we listen to you for even a moment longer than we already are? And I know that's a loaded question, but I want to just answer that myself, and then I want to make sure you understand what I think Bench's primary role is in this, which is if you struggle to understand why commodification happens, okay, why price compression happens, it's because the market cannot fundamentally tell your service the difference between your service and another service provider. And so the only reason that you would be struggling to compete against Bench is you're competing in low dollar bookkeeping services, right? Like that's the only, and the market can't differentiate between the two of you. So Oscar, why don't we start with just a little bit of an understanding of Bench's positioning, and also why that positioning is actually a tremendous advantage to accounting professionals who are elevating to a higher level of service. Why is that the case?
Yeah, and I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with the kind of the intro to that with what you just talked about. And I'll probably just answer that kind of second question first, because it's right on the top of my mind, which is, I have these conversations with the accountants and tax professionals on a weekly basis. And we've been running it was called Bench for Accountants. It's now called Bench Professionals program for about 4 or 5 years now. And, over that time, all these conversations I've had, it's so evident that the future of the accounting space is in higher value service lines, is in having a trusted advisory relationship with your clients. It's not about just kind of crunching numbers, doing that sort of work, because it's, the inevitability of tech advances just makes that a really difficult business to sustain and to kind of try and charge the rates that you want to make it profitable in the future. So it's the real benefit of Bench and where we position ourselves is by focusing on the bookkeeping and by having this as our core service, one that is delivered by real humans, powered by smart, powerful technology. means that instead of trying to enter the accounting space and everybody seeing us as a big threat, which I completely understand at the face of it, you're like, oh God, they're a massive bookkeeping company. Really what we want to try and do is become like the power partner in the accounting space and help people take their businesses away from just this standard entry level service line to something where they are adding tangible value to clients on a daily basis.
It's a great point. And no one that I speak to in the space is not arguing that this transition is happening. No one is saying this is not happening. But I find that a lot of people get very reactionary, defensive, maybe because they've been doing it this way for a long time and that things are starting to change. But I like to say when we're reacting, right, we're not being proactive, which is the whole point of this group. We're supposed to be asking like, why, how, what's the advantages of being able to look at this through a different lens? How can we create instead of simply react? And creating sometimes is creating a new relationship. It's creating a new way, a new process, and changing the way we used to do things to be able to adapt and evolve into this new world. So let's talk a little bit specifically about how Bench is actually not necessarily not competing against accounting professionals outside of the realm of bookkeeping, right? I mean, this is such a very specific core offer, and that you have to be able to provide in a high quality way to get to the next level. So again, just to be perfectly clear, Oscar, are we going to be competing against you for advisory, for being able to even do payroll, to being able to do any other services outside of bookkeeping?
No, we're not a full back office support thing. And so, I would look at companies like, I'm not very good, honestly, at my competitor intelligence. I need to be better. But I look at companies, I think it's Bookkeeper 360 or Accountant 360 is one of them. And they style themselves using like a full back office support, which really Bench isn't. We just do bookkeeping. We have an ancillary tax prep service. But really, that's like, we have very strong internal measures. So really, that's at the discretion of partners that we work with. If you want to offload your tax prep, then that's fine with us. If you want to keep it, we won't communicate in a single additional service line to customers. But really, we are bookkeeping experts, and that's what we want to be.
Fantastic. I want to just address the audience at large here for one particular point before we get too far into today's interview, which is, if you are wondering how to be able to get to the next level of pricing for your clients, if you're looking at how to get to the next level of overall service delivery for your clients, we're going to be offering a client Ascension script from Dream Firms if you choose to pursue any form of formal relationship with Bench. Because I know what we're all thinking is, but Tyler, sometimes we have a hard time being able to justify our current prices. Sometimes we have these problems to be able to get them to a higher level of services. We know how to be able to solve that problem incredibly efficiently. So I want to make sure you have that resource to be able to solve that problem and continue to grow your firm and not get trapped and bottlenecked in the fulfillment part, or struggling to be able to have the profitability for an outsourcing partner for any solution. Really, if you don't use Bench, that's fine, but you still need to be able to find a way to price more profitably and move your existing clients up into a higher level of service and a higher price as well. So again, just to be clear, if you end up using Bench in any capacity through the Dream Firms partnership, we will give you our client Ascension script 100% for free. So Oscar, let's talk about a little bit about the process of working with Bench, because again, I think it's sort of like, well, you guys are a technology company, or are you cheap outsourcing labor? Are you some fusion of the two? Are you a robot? Are you AI? Like, I've seen some weird deep fakes. Well, give us a little bit of behind the scenes of what happens when we interact with Bench.
Yeah. It probably helps just to take a step back and give like a really, if people are watching this and they've never heard of us, which, occasionally happens, Bench, believe it or not, we are the largest bookkeeping service for small businesses in the US. And what that looks like now is that looks like about 13,500 clients. And in order to deliver that service, I always talk about, we have a small army of in-house bookkeepers. And so they're all hired in-house, trained in-house. They're not kind of shipped offshore or anything like that. But I want to say we've got 200 plus probably bookkeepers, and our service is really like the reason we're so proud of the service that we offer, and why it's kind of we think it's been as successful as it has is it's this amazing combination of incredibly smart, powerful software, as I mentioned, that allows us to do all the things you might expect from like your QuickBooks or your Xero software, where you're sort of, rapidly churning through transactions and categorizing everything, but combined with like real life humans that you can talk to, who ask you questions about your books, who don't take kind of everything for granted that they see, that are curious about the work they're doing, that the work they do is then peer reviewed by other real life humans that do the work. And so it's this combination of both factors, which makes Bench such an awesome product. And then on the partnership side, so how we kind of work with folks in the tax and accounting space, is really in two ways. We have the kind of the principal way that folks work with us is on like an outsourcing model. And so what would happen is that you would work with a dedicated partner manager at Bench. So they'll be on my team. And you would just, if you have a client you would like to onboard with Bench, you have the discretion. And so I've had conversations with Dreams Fund folks in the last 2 weeks, and people want to do it different ways. Some folks are kind of, I was talking to a guy, Martin, and he was teaching me, he was talking about, Oscar, there's this thing called second level outsourcing. I was like, I like the sound of this, where he has a monthly rate with his clients. He said, I've begun a partnership with Bench. They're going to deliver this part of my service, but going through me, you get a far better rate than you would just going through Bench. And so we're going to work directly with his clients, communicate with them, but kind of facilitated by Martin. But then I would say the majority of the folks don't want to kind of go that route, and we just sit in the background. They'll onboard clients directly to us. They'll make sure we've got the banks connected, the statements to provide, all that sort of stuff. We'll just do the heavy lifting in the background, and each month just produce P&Ls and balance sheets for our partners to use however they want.
So I want to make sure that this point wasn't lost in that response, because it's such an important one. Is there's really two primary ways that we can be interfacing or working with Bench, which is you can be the de facto back office, or you can be passing the bookkeeping responsibility entirely to Bench. Is that a good way of summarizing that? I feel like I didn't summarize it as well as I should have, but like, again, just very, very clearly, what's the difference between what Marty was doing and what other clients typically do?
The only difference with what Marty was doing is that he felt comfortable telling his clients that he had a partnership with Bench and was doing it. In both of those options, the partner still maintains the entire billing relationship. They still, price, quote, bill for bookkeeping. It's just the amount of disclosure that you want to provide on the front end with who you're working with.
Okay. So again, I think that, again, it's like you can choose to say, hey, this is what's going on, or you can just say, hey, like we have a great solution in-house and it ends up working, and the client is not necessarily going to know the difference. However, I think one thing that's important for us to be able to, again, just keep in the context of this conversation, Oscar, is when we're getting ready to see the end work product, when we're getting ready to see the P&Ls, right? What is the level of control the accounting firm has on making sure that it's either coming from them, looks like it's coming from them, or is it going to be very clear it's coming from Bench? And again, I ask these questions because I want to make sure that everyone has the right expectations going into this. They don't waste your time. You don't waste their time. What does that look like from Bench's perspective?
Yeah. And again, it depends on how we've structured the relationship to begin with. But I would say in the vast majority of cases, the request is for us to provide statements that are almost like a kind of a blank canvas from a branding point of view. And so we produce P&Ls and balance sheets that are just, you can think of them as white label, I guess, and you can just put on whatever branding that you want to put on. You can upload them into whatever software you might be using with your clients. It's all very straightforward. One thing I will at this juncture, because when we first started talking, Tyler, you wanted me to kind of be very transparent on what are some of the drawbacks that may be useful, kind of, I guess, getting in front of with Dream Firms folks. And I think it's important to say at the outset, we don't offer a full white label solution as you might think about it. You can't just kind of say that we're going to work with your clients directly and they're going to have no idea it's Bench. They can't access our app. We don't have white label email addresses that look like they're coming from your firm, that sort of thing. It's very much an outsourced relationship where you can almost think of us as kind of suppliers, contractors, but the work that we will produce will be a complete blank canvas.
So again, I think that this is again, an important thing for us to all be aware of, is that I want transparency with our clients, right? I always want us to be fully transparent with the way things work, the way they operate, who our power partners are, what the end goal is for these power partnerships. And again, this is, I think, a lesson that we should be taking and see the lesson inside of the lesson, which is, why would we feel the need to necessarily even hide these things? If Bench is providing a very efficient way to deliver a very important service so that we can stay focused on a higher level of service, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, that's a different way of thinking about things, which is, it's okay to have forms of delegation and leverage with other companies, that you are still providing the oversight to make sure that this work product is perfect, right? Bench is providing, but the accounting professional should still be having that as well. And I guess that's just another thing that I imagine our audience is going to be always concerned about, and rightfully so, which is quality of the work product, right? Like, what are we thinking in terms of, I don't know, error rate, or what's the quality control look like to make sure that when the accountant is getting this work product back, that we're almost saying like, well, we can glance at it, we'll check it, but once you see something 99 times and it's right 99 times, we can start to build that trust. So why is that trust factor inherently there for Bench? What does the quality control look like?
Yeah, and again, it's something that we take just really seriously, and I mentioned it briefly when I was kind of giving the overview of the service, but every set of books that we produce, by the time I get confused with whether I talk about single eyes or pairs of eyes, but by the time it gets out to a client or to a partner, it's had 3 pairs of eyes on it. So, when we do the first pass, that's 1 pair of eyes, then there's a peer review, and then there's a final review before we kind of go into the account and mark that month as like a green light, as ready to download, as ready to export, all that sort of stuff. And then when we get to the end of the year, we produce an end of year tax package, which has all the monthly P&Ls and balance sheets plus the annual P&L and balance sheet, so you can prep the returns. And that has, again, another level of review attached to that.
So again, I say this because most accounting firms, if we don't have multiple bookkeepers and multiple managers, we're not having 6 eyes, 3 sets in total that are checking these and then going to the accountant or going to the individual responsible for managing the relationship between Bench and ultimately delivering the end work product to the client, or being able to convert it into another level of service. So again, I think that's such a valuable point here. And when people hear that and they know the prices or approximate pricing of Bench, they go, how's that possible? And I say, it's really none of your concern. The point is they have mastered how to be able to crush this part of the process, be very efficient, and win in the commoditized bookkeeping space. I mean, that is why they are the largest provider in the US for this very very specific service. And when I hear that, I go, well, why can't we leverage that for our accounting firms, our clients, our community, so that they can get the benefit of all the trial and error, all the experimentation, all the things that Bench has had to go through to get to where they are right now? So why don't we start to dig into a little bit of the dollar and cent side of things here? I want to be respectful of everyone's time on Friday. So when we're looking at, let's think about it from this perspective, because I know no one wants to say, hey, if I'm going to partner with Bench, is someone going to be able to go to Bench and get a better price than if they came through my firm and I'm the one that's ultimately giving them the trust of my clients, or not giving them my trust, I'm trusting them with some level of work that my clients need done? What's the difference if Joe's auto mechanic comes to Bench and says, I want to buy Bench's service, versus if the accounting firm says, Joe's my client, I'd like you to be able to handle their books? How are we not competing against Bench if we are partnered with you?
Yeah, great question. So to talk about Joe as if he was a normal Bench client, if he was to come through the door, the first thing that you'd notice if you go into our website is we have a fixed pricing model, and we have one price for bookkeeping for everyone, and that's $299 a month. Or if you want to pay for a year up front, $249, but not that many people want to take the hit. So that's our kind of price for everyone. And the benefit of being a partner is that you get a 15% discount on our rates. And so if you're billing your clients for bookkeeping and then we're doing the work, the price that you're going to pay is $254 a month. And that price would never be available to anyone coming to the Bench website. So if you were billing your clients and then saying, hey, Bench is powering the service, you can be rest assured that they can't just turn around and be like, well, I want to work with them directly, because they're going to be paying an extra $50 a month. Do you want me to talk just quickly, Tyler, about the kind of relationship that we've kind of put in place?
Please, yeah. Why don't we go ahead and fast forward a little bit here? Again, I don't want this one to run too long. I'd like to try and keep it in this 30, 40-minute window here. So why don't we go ahead and press fast forward on that and just, again, announce again, like we work hard here at Dream Firms to go out there and get the best possible things for you guys. So Oscar, why don't you shed a little bit of light in terms of what that really means?
Yeah, well, I ruined the surprise somewhat just then, but which I will work on for the next one. You can give me feedback afterwards. But yeah, so with our outsourcing model, we've always had a kind of tiered process to this. And so as we're building up a relationship with a partner, we have a 10% discount to our rates. And then once they have 30 clients with us, we turn that into a 15% discount. So for Dream Firms partners, we're going in straight at the top tier, a 15% discount. And then the kind of, for some people, that's not enough. And so for all Dream Firms folks, we're actually doing our first month on the house. And so if you've got somebody that you want to try out, particularly at the start, and this will be the case, for every client, but it's particularly useful at the beginning of the relationship, is you want to send somebody over and see if they're a good fit. We won't invoice you for the first month of bookkeeping.
So just to summarize, typically you need 30 clients to be able to access this 15% discount on Bench's service. The good news is you're already starting there. And on top of that, you're getting a month free of bookkeeping. So it's another another 8% discount on the annual value of your first client the client that you put through Bench, right? So it's like, this is a really amazing offer. And I want to, again, I want to just talk about the pricing side of this from the accountant's perspective. We might say, but Tyler, bookkeeping is such an important part of my monthly recurring revenue. I'm used to doing it. All of these different things. I'm not sure this is going to work. It's like, first of all, no money out of pocket to be able to try this once with one client. And then on top of that, your first month for any client that you put through Bench is also going to be free. And you're starting with a 15% off discount on their monthly service package, right? To be able to do this on your behalf. How much time are you going to save, right? Like, how much time does it take to do your biggest bookkeeping client? Just think about that, right? Like, I don't think any accountant's hourly rate should be less than $300 an hour, period. I don't agree that any hourly thing that you do should be less than $300, and it should be more in many situations. And so my point is if your hourly rate, let's just say it's even $150 an hour, it takes you 2 hours to do your smallest account, and let's say it takes you 10 hours to do your biggest account, your net gain from being able to take this off of your plate and go focus on acquiring new dream clients, to be able to go out there and upsell your existing clients, to go out there and spend time with your family, right? Like, whatever it is you want to do, this is such a tremendous trade based on the value of your time, which is always the most precious asset that you have, because it's a fixed rate. And like, that's what makes this so appealing to me, is it's not some variable. You got to keep an eye on them and their rates going up and how many transactions and all these things. It's a flat rate. And I'll say one other thing about the pricing conversation, and not necessarily from the, hey, this is how much your time is worth, but what type of client should be working with an accounting professional, right? Like, what is the type of business owner that should be working with you? My honest opinion is they shouldn't be less than doing 6 figures a year. Before that, they can probably DIY it. They can do whatever it is. But if they're coming to you and you are not interacting with their CFO, you are their CFO. You're their center of financial opinion. Shout out to Michael Casal for that quote. But that is exactly the way that this works, is they are coming to you and you're giving all of this away And if you're doing it for less than $500 a month, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be hard for you to be able to grow and scale your practice. And that should be your starting rate for monthly services, which makes this a slam dunk for Bench, right? For you and Bench to be able to come in and make this an amazing, amazing partnership, free up your time, focus on higher level activities. So Oscar, what's the next step if I'm saying, okay, I can see the value proposition. I know my time is better spent in other areas. I've struggled with being able to scale my bookkeeping. My bookkeepers keep leaving. India isn't doing their job the right way. What is the best way to be able to take the next step with Bench and be able to take advantage of everything that comes along with the Dream Firms partnership?
Yeah, super simple. First thing is just to book a call with me. Like my calendar is open for the next 2 weeks. If we get a similar sort of hit rate to last time, I'm going to be super busy. But I love talking to kind of new prospective partners, hearing about your business, hearing about what you're trying to achieve. We can dive into a bit more of the detail that we maybe had time for this morning about just the kind of the way the book's prepared, any particular questions you've got. If you want to hear about how we're going to work with your tax planning software, all this sort of stuff, we can talk about that then. What I will do, let me just shoot over into my Slack and pick up the link for you, Tyler, and I'll drop it in the chat. Or do you want to distribute it?
Go ahead and drop it in the chat. I'll go ahead and drop it into the Facebook comment section as well, just so that everyone has a chance to access that on the Facebook Live as well. For those of you who are not hanging out with us on Zoom right now. And look, I want to emphasize this is that give this a shot, right? Explore it. Put one client through it, a client, even your biggest client, right? Like if it is taking you a significant amount of time to do bookkeeping on just 1 or 2 accounts or 3 accounts, how much time are you going to save by being willing to just make this very, very fair trade with Bench so that now, again, you can go and do other things and maybe even free up some of your team's time, right? You might have team members that could be doing different things and are getting kind of pulled into that bookkeeping role. Well, maybe all of a sudden we can free up their time to go and do higher level activities as well. So again, the link is directly in the chat right now. I'm going to do this and I'm going to drop it in the comment section on Facebook, which is always a good idea. So the link to be able to speak with Oscar is directly on the comment section down below. And just keep in mind, again, you guys are starting at the highest partner tier available for the best price available by using that link. And you're also, as soon as you move 1 client through Bench, we're going to give you the client Ascension script so that you'll be able to upsell your existing clients to be able to continue on your path to your dream firm. So Oscar, do you have any last minute things that you'd like to say to our audience here today?
Just what I said last time, which is that I want to see my calendar completely slammed. If I don't get a break for lunch for the next 3 days, beginning next week, I don't mind. Seriously, even if you've got feedback or reservations or things that you don't think is going to work, I would love to hear them because I'm all about the things I don't know and getting to speak to you folks and finding out how I can make a difference in your business is one of the reasons I get up every morning. So I'm really looking forward to talking to all of you. Thanks so much, Tyler, for having me on.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today, Oscar. Again, please, everyone, take up this amazing offer from Bench and also with the partnership of Dream Firms. It is something that can truly transform your firm. Let's open up our mindset to new possibilities, and we are going to reward you for that as already illustrated with the client Ascension script and starting out at an incredibly wonderful price directly with Bench. Free up your time so that you can accelerate on the path to creating your dream firm. My name is Tyler S. Clark. Thank you again so much, Oscar. And remember, only you can create your dream firm, but we, including Bench, are here to help you every single step of the way. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week for a very, very special edition of Free Tool Friday. Dreamleads.app. Don't tell anyone about it. Talk to you soon.